It'll be stored on. Yeah, it's stored on your computer, so then you can send it to Peggy and she'll send it out to everybody. I'm liking that better and better. So welcome everyone. My name is Doug Dickey. I am Vice President of Sales for Avini Health. And we are a company that is a detox company. And our purpose is to get the information out to people, to introduce products that we have that can help the body detox and get the products out quickly, and also go through distributors. It's word of mouth advertising is the best form of advertising, the most effective. And when you're talking about a product that has incredible benefits for the body, word of mouth advertising from a person that knows another person is the best way. And so Avini Health is about 15 months old. We started the company specifically to have a company that will stay around forever. The product had gone through a couple other companies, and it was just, we had no control over the owner of the company that was pricing it or getting the products out. So Avini Health, our main product, and I typically would click on a picture. Our main product is a product called Cell Defender. Here it is right here. It's in the plastic bottle right here. We also have it in a glass bottle. And what Cell Defender is something called clinoptilolite. And that's a type of volcanic rock that during the volcanic eruption, it threw ash into the air. And when that ash ends up in salt water, it turns into a little cage. And this cage is really, it's naturally occurring, and it's really beneficial in that it attracts heavy metals and other chemicals and volatile organic compounds inside of itself. It not only attracts it, it traps it. And nature, when you look outside and you see the clouds and you see smoke in the air and toxins in the air, and you wonder, where did all those toxins go? Well, the rocks in the ground are what absorb it, pull it out of the environment, and store it away so it's never going to harm us. So because this product's millions of years old, it's full of metals and toxins. It's been doing a great job cleaning the earth millions of years. So when we find a mine that has layers and layers of clinoptilolite, one of these we call zeolites, they're dirty. They're full of all kinds of toxins. Now that's okay because it's not going to release it, but how much room would it have to pull toxins out of your body if you consumed it? The second thing is it's too big to get into your body. It'll go through your gut and out the back end. It'll grab whatever toxins in your gut, but it will not take anything out of the rest of your body. And so a biochemist, owner of this company named Rick Deitch. Rick was a pharmaceutical biochemist, worked at Duke Cancer Research, went to school there, and he was infatuated with, chemotherapies and the technologies that they were creating. He worked under the tutelage of a couple people who had eventually got the Nobel Peace Prize, and brilliant people. And when he heard about the zeolite, his thought was, if I could make it small enough, discover a way, build a machine that could make this little rock particle small enough to get in the bloodstream and into the lymphatic system, which is about half a micron, and also clean all the toxins out of it. If I could do that, then maybe it could remove the chemotherapy after it's done the work on the cancer, but before the chemotherapy harms you, because chemotherapy is often heavy metals, they're poisons, they're toxins. They happen to be attracted to this little zeolite cage. And so because of that, He worked for 7 years to develop machinery and methods and technology to clean and micronize these little particles of zeolite. So that's really the amazing discovery, is the technology that makes the zeolite very beneficial in the body. And so he got it into some cancer institutes as an adjunct to chemotherapy, and eventually introduced it to the market for simply removing toxins in our day-to-day life. Most people are unaware of how many toxins there are in the environment. I myself, who had had pesticide poisoning at about age 25 to 27, ended up having issues with my body, health concerns because of the pesticides. When I was introduced to Cell Defender, it was with a different company about 3 years ago. When I was introduced to it, my first thought was, I don't have heavy metals. I don't have toxins. I had pesticide poison. Well, guess what they also put in pesticides? Heavy metals. Mercury, arsenic, chromium, cadmium, anything that is an electrolyte and a heavy metal. And then as I started to learn about that, I found that they put it in fertilizers. They add these heavy metals to fertilizers to spread them back out in the environment, not thinking about the fact that they'll go inside the plant and we eat these plants. So in an effort to return these toxic heavy metals back out in the environment in a cheap way, they end up putting it into materials that we interact with through food, through water, through the air, even in your home, the coatings that they put on your carpet to keep the carpet to last 10 years, the coatings they put on the laminate, on the desk, in the paint. Many of these coatings, chemicals, volatile organic compounds make their way into our body, and our body cannot deal with it. We can't get rid of them at the rate at which we are taking them in. And so we have an option because of Cell Defender, which has 15 clinical studies that have been done on this product by Rick Deitch. Because we have that and the understanding, we're able to remove these toxins from our body even after they've gotten into our body. And that's really a powerful tool. If we simply knew about toxins, but we didn't have any option, that would be one thing. But we do. So very, very simple. You take this out. I have mine right here in a glass bottle. I shake the bottle. It's in a liquid suspension. I then take a dropper. You can see it's about 1 inch of fluid. I put it in my mouth. All of those particles that are in suspension in that fluid go into my body. They make their way into my bloodstream and lymphatic system, flow around picking up heavy metals and toxins. Doesn't interfere with any medicines, doesn't interfere with any cellular activity. It just simply grabs only the toxins, pulls them inside the cage, flows around, and eventually gets to the bladder, and you pee it out with all the toxins bound inside. So your body trying to get rid of toxins doesn't have a good system to do it. It can't just simply pee them out, not in any level compared to what we're taking in. But once you put it inside this cage, the body gets rid of it easily. And so this is our number one product. This is our tip of the spear, if you will, Cell Defender. And at the end, we'll go ahead and have some questions or any testimonials. We'll save that all the way to the end. So from there, we also have other products that Rick created. Back when he was a head formulator for another company, they introduced a mushroom complex. We call it Zimmunity. And it was with that company, they did over $100 million in sales in a year with this product. Absolutely incredible. And what it does is it helps boost your immune system. It also stops your body from having a hyperactive response. So as you're detoxing, it makes it easier to detox. A couple pills a day, absolutely beneficial for you. We call it Zimmunity. We have a fiber that has incredible whole food fibers in it, has inulin to help only the probiotic bacteria grow. Very beneficial for stopping toxins from coming in through your food. And that's our third product. And then rounding out the top four, the most important products that we have, there's actually a fifth one too, is spherical nano silver. This is 99.9999997% water. It is almost completely water. But inside this water, attached to the oxygen of the water, are these little spherical silver particles that are the perfect size and shape to stop viruses from attaching to your cells, to stop bacteria that are bad from harming you, to limit parasites, molds, mildew, things like that. Very, very effective. Every drop has about 1 trillion particles of silver. To put it in perspective, 7 to 10 nanometers is about how fast your fingernails are growing every second. So imagine that small of a size. Absolutely incredible. And so these four are there to sort of protect you and your body from things that want to harm you. So for instance, it might be heavy metals, endocrine disruptive chemicals, other types of chemicals. The cell defender can remove them. The Zimmunity is helping your body make that happen. Fibers stopping that from happening. And the silver is stopping anything that's alive that might be trying to harm you also. And that is really the benchmark of our products. Everything from there is just an assist to those products. We have another one. I usually have it with me, but I don't have it here. And it's based on peptides that come from cobra venom, a specific cobra that its venom has 20%, the highest concentration. There it is, plus relief. It has a high concentration of something called an alpha cobra toxin 7. What it is, a peptide that gets in the way of pain transfer from receptor to receptor. Your body, when it has pain, will send the signal from one spot to the next. This peptide gets in the way of it, blocks it. Completely healthy for the body, non-narcotic, non-addictive, and yet it can stop pain 600 times better than morphine with no negative side effects. And so really, really powerful. It just happens to be extracted from cobra venom, a specific Asian cobra. And it's diluted 10,000 times, and it's a homeopathic drug. So it's registered as a drug, more than 50 studies done on it. It's absolutely brilliant. We have the exclusive to Plus Relief. We have it in 3 different forms. You can roll it on, you can rub it on, you can spray it in orally. It also stops inflammation because it attaches to the white blood cell. And so it's very beneficial for that. And then using it, it gets stronger as you use it. So the more often you use it, the more powerful it is. That's opposite of most drugs. We also have Plus Relief and Cell Defender in a pet treat that you give the pets a little snack. and they can also benefit from removal of toxins, just like we do, as well as the pain relief. So let's stop right there. Peggy, did you have any questions? Did you want to share anything?
Oh, well, I can just share my story because the products are so phenomenal. The heavy metals and the toxicity to me are the missing link in so many. I treated so many chronic pain patients as a physical therapist, and I didn't know to think to check for heavy metals. Sometimes, toxicity would come up, but I couldn't specify or didn't know to specify for that. And it's made such a difference because when I do applied kinesiology and test people, it's so amazing how everyone is so toxic, especially if they're having chronic problems. And so now when I test people, it shows up, and it shows up as a real high percentage of why they're having the particular conditions or problems that they're having. But what happened to my father-in-law, who was 93, he woke up one morning, just excruciating agony. He just woke up in bed. He hadn't fallen or anything, and his pain level was so bad we had to take him to the emergency room. And sure enough, he's 93, has brittle bones, and he had breaks in the mid and lower back in 3 places. And of discomfort, he would have said was just, and they couldn't get it to come down with any of the opioids that they put him on, and even morphine. And all those medications had either made him constipated, really lethargic, or cognitively he was getting confused and affected him that way, or it made him nauseated, so he'd throw up, which would make the discomfort worse. And so by simply just rolling the roll-on or the gel on his back 4 to 5 times a day, the first week, it brought the pain level down by half to about a 5. And by the next second full week of doing it 4 to 5 times a day, the pain level was down to 0, and he didn't have any discomfort, which for me as a physical therapist, you just don't see that, because those kind of breaks in the spine just don't heal that fast, especially in a 93-year-old. So to be able to have it manage the pain for something that was that severe and acute was really phenomenal, and opened my eyes as a physical therapist. So just those simple things, as well as some of the other experiences we have that maybe some other people want to share, is nothing short of miraculous to me.
Wonderful. Anybody else would like to share or have any questions?
I have a question with the self defender, well, and the silver as well, especially the self defender where it's drops. Is it best to wait for a few minutes before you eat or drink anything else, or before you even do the silver or any of the other supplements?
Yeah, very good question. No, you can take it with any of the other supplements. You can take it with food, without food, in the water. However, because it's truly a type of rock, it's made from aluminum and silica, right? Like sand. So because it's that way, you can put it in the flour in your cookies and bake it. I had a grandmother ask me, she said, I can't get my grandkids to take it. I said, do they not like cookies? She goes, of course they love cookies. I said, there you go. 2 cookies a day, and the grandkids are taking the product. They in one of the studies that was done on West Virginia coal miners, arguably the most toxic people in the whole world, they took 2 droppers a day, so about 20 drops a day. It didn't matter how they took it. It could be with a food, it could just be on their tongue. One guy put it with his scotch every night. And they noticed consistently, this is a double-blind study, and they noticed consistently everybody, no matter how they took it, as long as they took it consistently, had the same results. And so that's really a sort of a testament to get it into your body. It doesn't matter. You can bake it in the baked goods and hand it out, and everybody will benefit from that. It breaks down in your gut and goes into your system and starts doing what it does, which is just flows around, attracting heavy metals and chemicals and toxins. When they first started, they thought it was just heavy metals. And so as they were doing the studies, they were measuring all of the waste product coming out of the study. And what they found is a lot of other chemicals that seemed like these aren't heavy metals. What's this chemical? And they would recognize, oh, it's diesel fuel exhaust. Or they would see another chemical, a dioxin from plastics. And so they started to look at how is it possible this zeolite, known to grab heavy metals, was also grabbing these toxins that also cause harm in our bodies. And so they figured out that process. There's a few studies on that. The idea that microplastics and plastics and aluminum, stuff that would normally not be removed by a zeolite, is also grabbed by this zeolite. So again, taking something that's natural, being a rock that's formed by the earth, has a certain frequency and stuff, making it smaller, cleaning it and activating it to be more effective. That kind of connection between natural and scientific, biochemistry has made this product that's able to remove these toxins in a safe and effective way. Unlike chelation. Chelation therapy is harmful because it takes out all the good stuff with the bad stuff, where this zeolite specifically only grabs the mercury and the arsenic and the cadmium, lead, antimony, bismuth, things like this. And so it's beneficial to you, increasing your magnesium and calcium simply by removing the heavy toxin type heavy metals. Anybody else have any questions or want to share an experience with the product?
And Doug, would you address, there are so many people that are experiencing bad and rogue cells that, could you share or explain maybe how, by using Cell Defender and Immunity, how those two combined help people? Because every time you turn around, there's somebody who is getting diagnosed or on chemotherapy or radiation therapy and struggling, and how even with people who are having to go through those treatments, it can maybe be beneficial for them to be on products that can, like Cell Defender and Immunity.
Sure. Yeah. So from the beginning, when Rick first created the micronized and activated zeolite, which we now have termed detoxylite, that's the trademark name for zeolite that's gone through this process that Rick invented 20-something years ago. He's the category creator of liquid zeolites, and so, or suspension of zeolites in a liquid. And so in the beginning, his intention was to be able to remove chemotherapy after it's killed the cancer, but before it harms your immune cells and your nerve cells. And so the idea is most of these chemotherapies are poisons, they're heavy metal based or toxic, and the same component that's used as the chemotherapy will be removed by the zeolite. So that was the original intent. He got it into some places to sell as an adjunct. There's 6 studies in Avini Health training where universities found a way or discovered the way that it works. But Cell Defender, because it's able to get into the bloodstream, it has sort of a secondary process. So as it's going along, it's negatively charged inside. As it's flowing through the bloodstream, it's grabbing cations like mercury and arsenic and pulling them inside the cage. It's bringing them in. Because they show up to the body and then they disappear into this cage, it creates an electrical charge, if you will, that is alkaline. And so it's sort of like a little alkaline bubble going along with the little zeolite cage. So the more often it's in the bloodstream, the more the bloodstream appears alkaline. And the real powerful thing is when that Cell Defender zeolite is going by a bad cell, that's running off of fermentation, what you call a rogue cell, and it flows by it. Just the mechanism of the alkaline charge going by the bad cell, they've theorized in 2 different studies that it turns a genetic switch back on in the bad cell called the P53 gene, which is a gene called apoptosis. Basically, if the cell thinks something's wrong with itself, it kills itself off. Just pulls a thing and it goes away. So what they believe is that clinoptilolite, specifically traveling in the bloodstream, will trigger these bad cells to go ahead and commit suicide. And like I said, there's 2 studies out there, universities that have done this study, and that's their theory. We believe that removing heavy metals and toxins from the bloodstream and the liver and the kidneys and other things where the blood is traveling through it reduces the burden on the body. That's why they call it body burden, heavy metals and toxins. By removing the burden, the body may now be able to fix itself where it couldn't before. It was too weak or too busy trying to run things. And so the idea that Rick says a cleaner, healthier body can fix itself. And we believe that. The less body burden, the more free your body is to fix these things. And it makes perfect sense. And so where our product has no cure ability, it can't cure anything because it's simply grabbing toxins. And the fact that the toxins are now removed, does that allow your body to function better and be able to fix things on its own? Maybe so. It's nothing that we can prove one way or the other. But just simply removing this body burden in an environment where the burden is greater than it's ever been. I heard the World Health Organization back in the 70s stated that 95% of all disease, all ailments that we have, are caused by toxins and volatile organic compounds and heavy metals. 10 years later, they moved that 95% to 97%. So it is, I think, well known that these heavy metals and toxins that are in our environment that are bioaccumulated are what's causing all the diseases that we have. And it makes sense that if you could shake the bottle, take a little bit, how much work was that? In 6 or 8 hours, I'm going to pee out that zeolite with heavy metals in it. They're out of my system. No downside, all upside down. And for those that have a time stamp where the doctors have said you only have a certain amount of time, you're going to want to take this every hour. Don't take it twice a day. Take it hourly. This helps that work better. Take it twice or 4 times a day. So very, very simple to follow up on a person that has some issues, to get them some product that could save their life. Any questions on that? Any thoughts or statements?
I have another question.
All right.
And thank you for that. I love the way that you're explaining and how it's drawing everything out, and a clean body can help. And sometimes, and I'm finding that I am probably more toxic than I thought, and my products just arrived today. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I know the disclaimer, we can't, claim to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any kind of disease. Correct. However, what has anybody had any help or success with gout, with the uric acid buildup? Right.
So what's really nice about it, and the reason we don't make claims is just because that's not our realm of expertise, right? We're not, some of us are doctors, but again, can we, have we done the studies to show that the use of this product forces this benefit to happen? No, we don't have any. The product's studies are on effectiveness to remove heavy metals and toxins and safety. And so the only claims we could ever make is that our product is safe and effective, okay, at removing these toxins. That's at least one next step to say, well, removing the toxins had a benefit. So there are lots of reasons for overproduction of uric acid. I happen to have a friend named Bruce Schmidt who has a, he said it was like razor blades on his feet when he would walk, and it was awful. After about 6 months on the zeolite, and this is almost 2.5 years ago, 95% of that went away. He'd been on the zeolite for about 6 months. In the last 2 years, he's on 5 or 6 times a day of the Cell Defender, and he hasn't had these issues since. Whether it's just by chance or luck of the draw, we don't know. We can't make that claim one way or the other, and we wouldn't. And so the idea, if I say, if you tell me that you need a new TV, and my answer might be, okay, get a job, get some money, buy yourself a TV. If you came to me and said, well, I need to pay for insurance, okay, get a job, get some money, pay for the insurance. It's always sort of the same answer, right? If you're lacking money, get a job, get the money, buy whatever it is. It seems like the answer to almost every question concerning health goes back to take Cell Defender, take the Immunity, both of those work together, take the silver at least once or twice, bottoms up, drink an ounce or so once or twice. Plus Relief, answer to the, well, I have this pain, take the Plus Relief. Well, I have that pain, take the Plus Relief. And so because it's central to body burden, removing this burden that's on your liver and your kidneys and your adrenals, it just makes the perfect sense. I don't have to make a claim nor make a statement that it will help any issue. I can just say, try it yourself. Take it for a month, money back guarantee. If you notice those things, make a video of it, put it on the website. If you don't notice anything, you can get your money back. And so that's really the answer to everything is, no matter what the issue is, it's probably caused by body burden.
Thank you. That, and I love the way that you described that. But everything stems, almost everything, down to one thing. I am just curious, could you tell us a little bit about the Trim Science?
Yeah, Trim Science was created for this purpose. Once you start to study heavy metals, you find that they get transferred from generation to generation. That some heavy metals like arsenic trigger on mechanisms in the DNA. So it doesn't have to change your DNA. It could simply turn on a switch that says, okay, normally you make 2 fat cells and 8 muscle cells. But today, because this arsenic is in this certain spot, you're making 8 fat cells and 2 muscle cells. It simply flips a switch that turns on a mechanism, and it's not tied to actual DNA change. And they call these obesogens. There's 1,100 switches on your body making more fat. And what happens is people trying to lose fat and they gain 10 more pounds of fat. And the reason is because the body is fighting them every step of the way. The trim science is technology that is so advanced out there. It was Rick and his co-author to Invisible Killers, the book that they wrote. His co-author is a brilliant epigenetic mind that's basically said many of the diseases that you're suffering from, including obesity, is tied to the toxins that are in your body and not tied to your activity.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you on a call?
No,
It's not tied to you eating too many ding dongs at 2 a.m. And they found this. They did a study not too long ago, and they looked at rats, and they studied them 25 years ago to about 3 or 4 years ago. And what they found is that humans have gained, I think it's 47 pounds, or no, is it? I can't remember what the percentage was, but humans have increased the amount of fat by a certain, I think it's 47 pounds, or maybe it's 47%. I can't remember. But humans had this increase. And then they start saying, well, you're sitting on your bottom, you got all this screen time, you're not exercising, you're not eating right. What they don't tell you is that the study also referenced the rat population. And the rat population had the same increase of fat. The marsupial, the dog population, the cat, they're all the same percentage fatter. So why is it? Environmental toxins that affect everything. And so we created Trim Science with these special chemicals that are very beneficial for your body, derivatives of certain types of mushrooms or ginseng or other sort of herbal materials where it's been extracted and concentrated. And so when you take it, it helps your body get used to not making more fat, to making decisions better. Carb to fat production. There's a chemical in there that stops that from happening. And I shouldn't say a chemical, more of just a compound that's extracted from these different really high tech. Like there's something called Mucuna prurines, which doctors have been asking for. It helps the heart. It helps the body function better. The incredible 92-page report on it. You'd think you could travel back in time. It's such an incredible product. Very expensive. So how do we get people to take this twice a day, every day, without expecting an immediate benefit? And the way that you do it is you make it a coffee, or you make it a hot chocolate, or you make it a lemonade or a tea. And in doing that, people will just put it into their diet. Instead of taking this tea, they're drinking this tea or our tea. Instead of drinking soda pop, they're having a hot chocolate or a coffee. They switch coffee. So as you take it, your body's slowly changing the epigenetic factors that will affect you long-term, as well as your kids and their kids and their kids. That in combination with Cell Defender and the Immunity and the Silver, you have much improved DNA level quality. Your body functions better at that level. We just need people to take it several times a day over a period of time. So we made it taste yummy. And that's it. If you mix it with the fiber, makes the fiber taste better, you can then, have it with the fiber. But the technology is so advanced. It's not to lose weight, but if you are losing weight, it makes it easier. So somebody who's really skinny doesn't have to worry about them becoming more skinny. It just simply helps the body regulate fat production, if that makes sense. By the way, we have people that are taking the products that are having miracle things. They've never been able to lose weight. Month 3, month 4, they're pouring off 8-10 pounds of weight. So you got to get your body to accept changing it. And that's what the Trim Science does.
Doug, real quick, I just want to kind of throw this in there. I've got a good friend of mine. Her name's Darla Dart. She lives down in Las Vegas. She called me up. I believe it was probably a good 4 months after taking the trim science. She called me up and she was madder than a wet hen. And she says, Thane, because I started taking that stuff, I have lost 5 pant sizes and now I've got to go buy new clothing.
Yep. Good problem to have. Anybody else
And
want
Doug,
to share? Okay, go ahead, Peggy.
oh, I was just going to say, would you address how so many people have blood sugar issues and how the plus fiber, as well as making sure you're getting rid of toxins and whatever, like with the cell defender, how the fiber plus maybe helps. We've seen changes so many times with people with blood sugar issues and, using the cell defender and the plus fiber things, how that makes such a difference. Can you maybe share that since so many people suffer with that?
Sure, sure. Even type 1, type 2 blood sugar issues are benefited by taking the fiber 15 minutes before their 2 largest meals. In fact, if you know somebody that's type 1, have them take just a scoop of the fiber 15 minutes before their dinner time. And the next morning, they'll be blown away by their blood sugar levels. And so it's a mechanical process of managing the release of the food back into the body. And so you get a more satiated feel. You're not as hungry. You get more nutrition, more mineralization in the bloodstream, and the sugar doesn't have any spikes, so you don't get tired after taking it or after eating a meal. It's really powerful. There's also 3 whole food fibers that when the bacteria try to break it down, produces butyrate, 3 different types of butyrate, which are food for the intestinal tract of the colon. So the thin little 1 or 2 cells thick of the colon tissue, their main food source, 70% of their food is butyrate. And the only way it's made in the colon is fiber, specific fiber that the bacteria try to break down, and they basically produce this butyrate chemical, butyric acid, and it's very beneficial for the body. Helps heal up what we call leaky gut. Anybody with a irritable issue, very beneficial. Takes a couple weeks to get used to. The fiber is not a overnight success. It takes a couple weeks to change your environment, but it's very well worth it. I had horrible issues with my colon. The fiber made a huge difference. Any other questions? Any thoughts from anyone?
Hi, Doug.
Hi, how are you, Jen?
Good. I was so glad to meet you. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So the last lady, she was talking about diabetes, and I have to share this. I'm a skeptic, very much of a skeptic, because I'm 48 years old, and I have tried many diets. I'm overweight. I'm a diabetic. And so my person that brought me in, Stephanie, she said, this is the way you take it to start, the cell defender. I said, okay. And I thought she was crazy a little bit, but okay. So I did what she told me. And my sugar was up in the 300s. And it didn't matter what I do. I would chug water. I would, I went off of Pepsi. I went off of sweets for a good while and everything, and was taking a cell defender, and my sugar went from the highest 319 down to 128. And then one night I'm laying in bed and I called Stephanie and I said, I need help. And she goes, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know, I feel weird. And she goes, what's wrong? And I said, hold on. And I checked my sugar and it was 97. My sugar has never been that low, ever. So I ate a little piece of, because I keep around just in case, my sugar, like a piece of candy or something. And so today I go to the doctor's and they checked my A1C. And the doctor, they handed the paper to the doctor, and the doctor looked at me and goes, okay, I want to know what you're doing, and I want to know right now. And I said, what do you mean? Well, your A1C went from an 8 down to a 5. And that's a big drop in 3 months.
Yeah.
And I giggled. And I said, well, I'm in a company called Avini, and the products that they have are really helping me, especially this one called Cell Defender and everything. And I said, the only thing I can do is tell what happened to me. And I said, we don't make medical claims, whatever. And he goes, okay. And he took a look at the bottle and everything, and he said, he goes, Jen, he goes, if this is working for you, you keep right on it, because it seems to be doing better than your medication. I said, the funny thing is I was put on 2 sugar pills. It begins with an M. I forget what it's called. I always forget what it's called. But then they put me on Ozempic. And the doctor goes, well, you trying to lose weight? And I said, always, but not with an insulin shot, not with pills. And he goes, well, how are you trying to lose weight? And I said, well, I'm on a product called Trim Science through the same company. And this doctor goes, huh? And he goes, well, you might be putting me out of business if this continues to work for you. He giggled. I mean, I laughed. I was like hysterical. And I said, I found something that works, and it works for me, and everybody's different, but I know the amazing things that have happened. I was in Utah, and my eye started hurting really bad, my left one, and Stephanie said, I said, Stephanie, my eye hurts, why? And she goes, let me look. And she goes, well, it is a little red on the one side. And she sprayed the nano in it, the silver. And we did that for 3 or 4 times, and it started feeling better. So I don't even call this, it is Avini, but I call it my miracle stuff because of how much it's helped me.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. And the next time you see me, I'm going to be a lot skinnier, just saying.
Come to Dallas. Dallas Summit is going to be amazing. Absolutely come to Dallas.
When is it?
October 20th and 21st.
Okay. I will try.
Schedule it, be there. It will be amazing. But
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Doug.
All right, we've used up our hour. Thanks so much.
Are you on that?
Say that again.
Go ahead. Oh, no, that's fine.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
It's fine. I was going to have Maurice or Thane share his quick story.
sure, go ahead. Let's do that.
What story was you referring to, Peggy?
Well, I don't know if people know, people who are listening with your son Carter, just real fast.
Yeah.
So they know that can help in other ways for even children.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sitting in front of my kitchen window here. Okay, now there we go. Now you can see me. But anyhow, with my son, Carter, he was diagnosed on the autism spectrum when he was 4 years of age. And for 9 years, my wife and I tried everything we could, except for medication, to help him. And his biggest challenge was communication, staying focused, things of that nature. So academically, he struggled in school, and he would not stay on task, or rather couldn't stay on task. And I remember at one point in time, my wife and I actually contacted his teachers and said, why are you giving him so much homework? Because he's always got homework night after night. And the teacher told us, hey, it's just the fact that he doesn't stay on task. He doesn't stay focused. He doesn't complete his in-class assignments. And then also at the same point in time, his other biggest struggle was communicating. And he would start and stop, stumble, mumble, repeat himself. His biggest challenge is just getting it from here to here. He couldn't do it. And anyhow, Cell Defender was brought to my attention. I started doing a great deal of research into it, and I found out that, like you'd said, Doug, it's micronized and activated so that it actually does get absorbed into the bloodstream. And not knowing what to expect or how much to give Carter, we actually started giving him 10 drops 3, 4, 5 times a day, not knowing when or what kind of outcome to expect. And at one point in time, he came up to me. It was about two weeks later, I believe it was, maybe just a little after. And he just started speaking normal. And I was completely and totally blown away. But the very same month that my wife and I noticed a difference in his communication abilities, we too also heard from his teachers at school, wondering and inquiring, what we were doing to help Carter. Because not only was he being able to focus and pay attention and complete his in-class assignments, but he was also helping his fellow classmates complete their assignments if they had any concerns or questions, which was something that he never, ever did. So all the way around, absolutely love Cell Defender. I love calling it the tip of the spear. But now we've got all the products. In fact, I'm looking at 3 of them on my table just next to my computer. But anyhow, we'll never go a day without these products. They're absolutely brilliant, wonderful, miracles, just like what Jen said. This stuff is just short of a miracle, and I believe we really stumbled across something very significant.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. I think that's it. Thanks everybody for coming on the Zoom. Kayleen will
Hey,
send.
Dad,
Yes,
can I share one real quick?
sure.
I know it's time. I'll do it real fast. So one thing that I have not shared with too many people, but I've shared with my friends, I have dealt with suicidal issues and thoughts since I was 12. And it was a constant thing. And, something that my counselor once said to me, she's like, I said, isn't this normal? And she's like, no, people don't have those normal thoughts. Those aren't normal thoughts. And like, I've just dealt with them since I was 12 years old. I had a really low moment in February. And in March, it just so happened that things fell into place. And we went to the Las Vegas summit and my husband and I learned about, more of the products. I had been using the Plus release, and I have a great story there, but I'm not going to share that today. We learned about the other products. And so we went home, we did blood work, and then we started taking them. And within just a couple of weeks, my suicidal thoughts that I had dealt with for 30 something years were gone. And it has been life-changing. And I was talking to a friend, and she was telling me that she had, someone that she knew that was also dealing with that, and she needed this product. And I'm like, well, wait, let me make sure which one it is that's doing it. And so I systematically removed myself from different products to figure out what was going on, because I was taking all of them. And I learned, by doing that, which ones were doing what thing for me. And for the immunity product takes away my suicidal thoughts. And I have shared that with multiple people and handed them to multiple people and had them receive the exact same results through that. And so that's one of those things that for me, that has been life changing, because that's something that I have dealt with for 30 something years on a daily basis, and I no longer deal with. And it has, like I said, it's been life changing. So I do the other products. I have a story for each one of them that I learned which ones caused which things. But that one has been the most life changing for me personally.
Thank you for sharing that. That's why many of us do what we do. That's why we're here. And with that, Kayleen, will you stop the recording?